Good day everyone, I am Decadet Jetler D. Paliharo. So for today's video, I'm going to discuss the origins and manifestation of global environment crisis and relate in everyday encounters with pollution. Global environmental issues is a phrase that refers to the effect on the climate of human action. In particular, the on-fire or fossil fuels, coal, oils, and gas, and large scale of deforestation in which causes emissions to the atmosphere of large amount of greenhouse gases. So, an ecological crisis occurs when the environment of a species or a population changes in a way that it destabilizes its continued survival. So in the origin, the main features of the environmental crisis. At this point, a very brief overview of the environmental crisis may be helpful. It is important to emphasize that a wide range of views about the nature and severity of the current environmental crisis exists, and some of the issues are highly controversial. Nevertheless, there is a broad agreement that the environmental crisis encompasses the following main issues. So first is the climate change. So climate change, anthropogenic climate change due to pollution of the atmosphere by greenhouse gases, is now regarded as one of the major global environmental issues. It occurs largely as a result of the combustion of fossil fuels, emission from agriculture and pastoralism, and land use change that accompany the destruction, clearance, and burning of forests. Second is stratospheric ozone depletion. The depletion of stratospheric ozone due to the pollution of the atmospheric by halocarbons such as chlorofluorocarbons or CFSs is another serious environmental issue. It is a significant concern because the lack of protective ozone at high altitudes results in increased levels of harmful ultraviolet radiation reaching the Earth's surface, causing a range of health-related and ecological impacts. And the third is degraded air quality. Other forms of air pollution are also significant, particularly at regional and local scales, as they may seriously degrade air quality. Worldwide, approximately 1 billion people inhabit areas, mainly industrial cities, where unhealthy levels of air pollution occur. Many air pollutants are responsible for the degradation of air quality, but some key pollutants include particulate matter such as soot, tropospheric ozone, oxide and nitrogen oxide of sulfur, lead, and various aromatic compounds. And the fourth is degraded water quality. The water quality can be seriously degraded by contamination with pollutants, giving the rise to a range of health-related and ecological effects, such as the degradation of coral reefs. A major source of water pollution is the terrestrial runoff to inshore waters that occurs in many coastal locations. Such runoff may contain significantly elevated levels of nitrogen and phosphorus from agriculture. And the fifth is scarcity of fresh water. Besides the pollution of freshwater sources, there are a variety of the reasons for the scarcity of fresh waters for drinking in many parts of the world. The sixth is land contamination. Land contamination occurs as a result of chemical or radioactive pollution, especially long-lived resistant chemical species that enter the soil. Seventh is soil erosion and degradation. Concern about soil erosion and the problem of desertification have become acute. In part, these concerns are based on the historical experiences of the dramatic soil erosion and transport in the New World countries, including the USA. And the eighth is land use change and habitat loss. These issues overlap with others such as deforestation, but they are broader and include the clearance of forests, agriculture, and transformism. The ninth is biodiversity loss. So many plant and animal species are threatened with extinction due to the spread of disease, the destruction and degradation of their habitats, and direct exploitation. So those are the origins of and manifestation of global environmental crisis. And in addition, for years now, humans have been mistreated and contaminated the every environment that sustains them. But the broad concern for the environment can be overwhelming that people don't know how to where it start making a difference. So that's all for my topic, and thank you.
Good day, sir. So I am Lokain Melcher III. So for today's video, so I have my topic. So discuss the origin and manifestation of global environmental crisis related everyday encounters with global warming. So first, let's define what is global warming. Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period between 1850 and 1990s due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increase heat trapping, greenhouse gas level in Earth's atmosphere. So, since the pre-industrial period, human activities are estimated to have increased Earth's global average temperature by about 1 degrees Celsius, 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit, a number that is currently increased by 0.2 degrees Celsius, 0.36 degrees Fahrenheit per decade. So, next slide. So, examples of global warming. First, the average surface temperature of Earth was 1.17 degrees Celsius, higher than the average for the pre-industrial time frame of 1880s to 1990s. Second is the Earth's temperature has already increased by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius since the pre-industrial times. Third is extremely weather, such as increasingly destructive hurricanes, droughts, floods, and wildfires are linked to climate change. The last is the rate of at which sea levels are rising throughout the world is increasing. So this last example, so I have examples of sea level. I have examples of sea level rise in Philippines. Sea level in the Philippines are rising at roughly twice the global average rate, when particularly powerful storms such as Typhoon Haiyan, known in the Philippines as Super Typhoon Yolanda. So, Super Typhoon Yolanda, they hit the Philippines. So there are many people die in that typhoon, and there are a lot of houses that destroy also the typhoon. So was the one of the most powerful tropical cyclone ever recorded. The typhoon caused catastrophic destruction in the Visayas, particularly in the islands of Samar and Leyte. The heatland and the higher sea level contributes storm surge of up to 15 to 20 feet. So, next slide. What are the other effects of global warming? Each year, scientists learn more about the result of world's warming. And every year, we also gain new evidence of its devastating impact on people and therefore the planet. Because the heat waves, droughts, and floods related to global climate change become more frequent and more intense. Communities suffers and death tolls rise. Scientists believe that temperature change could be lead on to the deaths of quite 250,000 people around the globe each year and force 100 million people into poverty by 2030. So that's all. Thank you.
Today, I am Cadet Alviera Victor Joseph. So, I will discuss the origin and manifestations of global environment crisis related to everyday encounter, desertification. So, what are the origin and manifestation of global environment crisis? It occurs largely as a result of the combustions of fossil fuels, emissions from agriculture, and pastoralisms and land use changes that accompany and destructions, clearance, and burning of forests. So, the word desertifications may seem like a word depicting a very distant and abstract environment problem that most of us not consider being important in our daily lives. But we could not be more mistaken, for desertifications is slowly creeping up into our lives and has the power to change everything. If ever the desertifications may happen, higher food prices, water availability, violent crime for land, migration, increasing poverty, pollution from windblown dust particles coming from distant lands could be the outcomes of desertifications if we let it consume more of our planet. The loss of fertile land to desertifications has brought an end to many majestic civilizations throughout the human history. For example, the destructions of the native tropical forests in Indus Valley opened up the pathway for the desert to claim more and more land, leading the doom of the Harappan civilizations. Sadly, the very same process continues to threaten the existence of at least 1.5 billion people, mainly from developing countries until the present day. Do we have so much free land available that we do not need to concern about this? So, there are the cause and effect of desertification. So the cause of desertification are deforestation, climate change, overgrazing, unstable agriculture techniques, and etc. So, what are the effects of this desertifications? So, the effect of the desertifications are the deforestation, um, the vegetations may damage or destroy, soil become infertile, increase the vulnerability of natural disaster, polluted source of drinking water, and so on. So, how to overcome or avoid the desertification? So, here are the some action plan to avoid the desertification. Number one is to prevent climate change. We need to prevent the factors that causes climate change. So, stop the illegal mining and destructions of the forest. Minimize or end the pollution. Conserve energy and lessen carbon emissions. Lessen food and water consumptions and other things. So, second is educate the people. Educate the people how they can help to prevent the change practices that can causes desertification. Teach the farmer how to plant sustainably. Educate young minds. Discuss it with the government to help prevent desertifications from happening. So lastly, create and implement policies. So the government should take care of the actions that needs to be done in order to prevent such as disaster. So policies and restrictions for farming. After harvesting change, plant to start planting so that the natural plants can be able to grow again. Do not leave a certain land being dry and become into the arid. Do not allow the bunch of animals to stay in the certain place to avoid overgrazing. Conduct reforestation such as tree planting. Maintain and sustain natural places such as rich. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day, sir. I am Genevieve Austrian. I am going to make a video presentation about the discussion about the main feature of the environmental crisis. One of the main feature of the environmental crisis is the climate change. Anthropogenic climate change due to the pollution of the atmosphere by greenhouse gases and the contaminants is now regarded as the one of the major global environmental issue. It occurs largely as a result of the combustion of fossil fuels, emissions from agriculture and pastoralism, and land use changes that accompany the destruction, clearance, and burning of forests. Climate change already has observable ecological and social effect, and its projected impact could potentially result in profound changes in global mean surface of the temperature, ocean circulation, precipitation pattern, climate zone distribution, and economic function. The second is the deforestation. It has been estimated that around half of the world mature forest has been cleared by humans. Deforestation occurs for a variety of reasons, but the majority of deforestation now occurs when tropical forests are cleared for agriculture and pastoralism. The other reasons that include the destructions of trees for charcoal productions and the selective logging of forests for timber. Tropical forests covered only around 6% of the Earth's surface. They are the essential part of the global ecosystem and of the biosphere. They help to regulate climate, they protect soil from erosion, and they provide habitat for vast number of plant and animal species. One estimated suggests around of the world's species around found in a tropical forest. Stratospheric ozone depletion. The depletion of stratospheric ozone due to the pollution of the atmosphere by halocarbons such as chlorofluorocarbons. It's another serious environmental issue. It is a significant concern because of the lack of protective ozone at high altitude, result, resulting in increased level of harmful solar or ultraviolet radiation reaching the Earth's surface, causing a range of health-related ecological impact to the living to the human and the animals. Ozone hole. It creates the region where ozone hole has been depleted. The term ozone hole is applied when the depletion is level below 200,000 Dobson unit. Ozone hole are first discovered in Antarctica in 1970. Few years ago, ozone hole are also discovered in Arctic region. Since 2000 rate of ozone depletion increasing 0.5% per year. Due to the depletion of ozone, UV rays are penetrating in troposphere and leading to more ozone hole formation, causing injurious effect on the health as ozone is toxic to our body. The main cause of ozone depletion and the ozone hole is the manufactured chemical, especially manufactured halocarbon, refrigerant, solvent, propellant, and foam blowing agent. That's all.
I'll report about examine the policies and programs of governments around the world that addresses the environmental crisis. So, environmental protection is a tropical and controversial issue of contemporary third world development. As a result of growing crisis of environment and developments, as well as issue of global environmental balance, divergent views and proposals have been put forward by external governments, international agencies, and environmental groups in resolving the environmental degradation problems of the developing world. Next is what is the environmental policies? Environmental policies is any measure by a government or corporation or other public or private organization regarding the effect of human activities on the environments. And also this means also particularly those measures that are designed to prevent or reduce the harmful effect of human activities on ecosystem. Next is why is environmental policies needed? So environmental policies are needed because environmental values are usually not considered in organizational decision making. There are two main reasons for that omission. So first is environmental effects are economic externalities. Polluters do not usually bear the consequence of their actions. The negative effect most often occurs elsewhere or in the future. Second one is naturally resources are almost always underpriced because they are often assumed to have infinite availability. And example of environmental crisis, those are anthropogenic anthropogenic climate change, or what we call global warming, the depletion of stratospheric ozone, or what we call the ozone hole, and the acidification of surface water, or acid rain, and destruction of tropical forests, the depletion on and the extinction of species.
Good day, sir, and good day, everyone. My name is Karat Runyada, and today I am going to discuss my assigned topic, which is the relationship between population growth to environmental issues relating to food scarcity and sustainability. Now, to begin, first I would like to thoroughly define the important terminologies relating to my topic, so that we are able to have a better understanding of what these terminologies mean and what is their importance regarding or in relation to my specific topic. Now, to begin, allow me to read or define population growth. It's defined as a change in the amount of individuals found in a given country, territory, or geographic area during a specific period. Environmental issues are defined as the harmful effects to the earth and to its natural systems due to the actions of humans. There are instances wherein greenhouse emissions originated from natural causes, human activities also made contributions to those emissions. Food scarcity, a scenario wherein food supply is insufficient. This happens when there's not enough food being produced, such as when crops fail due to drought, pests, or too much moisture. Sustainability can be defined as the means of meeting our own needs without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition to natural resources, we also need social and economic resources. Now, proceeding to the next slide. The relationship between population growth and environmental issues. The general rule of thumb is the more people there are, then the more resources are needed, which means that as the population increases, the Earth's resources are consumed at a much higher rate. The result of this depletion is deforestation and the loss of biodiversity, as humans strip the Earth of its resources to accommodate the rising population numbers. Population growth also results in the increased greenhouse gases, mostly from the CO2 emissions. As greenhouse gases increase, so do climate patterns, ultimately resulting in the long-term pattern called climate change. Proceeding to the next slide. The relation of environmental issues to food scarcity. The source of food in any society most often comes from the environment that we live in. More specifically, it comes from various ecosystems such as forests, rivers, seas, and oceans. Now, we all know that when the population increases, so does the demand for resources, and food is no exception. Now, when do we reach the point of food scarcity? We reach the point of food scarcity when there is not enough food to go around. A good example of this is fishing or seafood, and I will give an example of the bluefin tuna. The bluefin tuna is one of the most expensive and sought-after commercial fish all over the world. It is highly prized for its delicious meat and for its versatility to be served in almost any dish in any cuisine. And because of this, demand is high. However, because of this, it also has the threat of an environmental issue of the species going extinct because of overfishing. That is why the importance of knowing the limits of when we harvest a resource such as marine food or seafood must be kept in check, because if not, then it will ultimately result in food scarcity, meaning the food or the specific bluefin tuna will go extinct to the point that it will no longer be able, or our future generations aren't able to enjoy or to meet or to utilize this food. Another example of food scarcity or the environmental issues being brought by food scarcity is when farmlands are being created in the place of forests, or forests are being destroyed for the sake of farmlands. Because when the population increases, then the demand or the agricultural sector will also do specific measures in order to cope up with the demand, which means they have to clear forests. And when forests are being cleared, then biodiversity is lost. And that is not a good way, because when a species is extinct, then it cannot come back. But what was lost cannot be regained. Now, speaking to the next slide. Why is it important to attain sustainability? regardless of who we are, where we live, and what we do. We all have a moral obligation to each other, to our future generations, and to the other species to sustain the planet. A good example of this is when we all have a specific responsibility in ensuring that whatever we do right now will not affect our future generations, because right now our life is passing, or rather, we are only the current stewards of the environment, and it's our responsibility to ensure that whatever we have right now, future generations are able to enjoy it as well. And that is why we need to invest more in renewable resources that are not environmentally compromising, so that we are able to reduce our carbon footprint and to ensure that whatever food or whatever species that we have right now, future generations are able to see it and interact with it. And that is the end of my report.
Good day, sir. My name is Rantone Alcadot, and today we talk about the relationship of population growth to environmental issues relating to development. So population, environment, and development have very close relationship with each other. The use of natural resources increases due to the population growth. The use of land, water, and other materials increases to grow food subsistence. Resource use, waste production, and environmental degradation are accelerated by population growth. They are further exacerbated by consumption habits, certain technological developments, and particular patterns of social organization and resource management. So we have the populations and environmental issues. We all know that more people require more resources, which means that as population increases, the Earth's resources deplete more rapidly. The result of this depletion is deforestation and loss of biodiversity as humans strip the Earth of resources to accommodate rising population numbers. We all know that bio means life and diversity is nature. And how population growth affects the development. So the effects of population growth can be positive or negative, depending on the circumstances. A large population has the potential to be great for economic development. After all, more people have, the more work is done, and the more work is done, the more value, or in the other words, money is created. We have the examples of environmental issues relation to development, which are the pollution, global warming, overpopulation, waste disposal, ocean acidification, loss of biodiversity, deforestation, and also the ozone layer. So why environmental issues are important? So this is very important to know the obligation of the people around the world, and also to promote the environment and sustainable development of the planet for future generation. Environmental degradation is detrimental, and it is the long-term health and security of animals, plants, but also in all humans. That's all.
So, good day everyone.
especially to you, sir. I am Cadet Crisbel F. Calva, and I am here to discuss my topic all about the population growth to environmental issues relating to the future of globalization. So, let us define what is the meaning of population growth. So, population growth is the increase in the number of people in a population. Global human population growth amounts to around 83 million annually, or 3% a year. It is also a rapid growth increase was mainly caused by a decreasing death, and particularly an increase in average human age. So for me, I estimated that by the year 2022, the world will have a population of more than 9.8 billion people. So what is the effect of population growth to the environment issues? So, we are all struggles of early human just so the humanity. Well, let's think about it like the TV, laptop, warm water, radio. All of this required electricity and need a greenhouse too. So these examples are contributes to global warming. So think about it that the more people is using these things, the more people need use things that require electricity. So this means that we use greenhouse gases rapidly, and as long as the population is growing up, we're going to keep using them faster and faster. So that means we are going to keep harming one ozone faster and faster as well. So also, people need a roof overhead to have their own shelter. So the population growing as also contribute to deforestation because we need to cut some trees for more houses. And did you know that when we are cutting trees, we are also losing the greenhouse effect, which give us air or the carbon dioxide that we are used to breathe. So we cut some trees for houses because of the more people living in this world are also hurting the environment. So the more the population growth increasing, the more the environment destroy and damage. So like for example, the air pollution, deforestation, global warming, ozone layer depletion, and etc. So also the population growth to the future of globalization. So population growth has served as an impetus for global exploration, international migration, and colonization. In recent year, population dynamics have influenced globalization through effects on the distribution of labor and capital, have an important influence on trade, foreign investments, and international migration. So there are some impacts of globalization to population. We have the direct and indirect impact. So first is the direct impact. Direct impact is the moving of people around the world has accelerated and spread of disease, notably of HIV/AIDS. So, on the other hand, the global spread of public health, medical, and family planning technology has played a key role in worldwide gains in life expectancy and reductions in fertility. So next, the indirect impact. Globalization influences the speed of development, stimulating faster economic growth in the countries in in the other countries. So the pace of development in turn influences job opportunities and incomes. So maapil sa diha ang nutrition and literacy levels, urbanizations, women's status, and other social economic conditions that can affect fertility, morality, and migration. So here is the main point. If the world has a rapid growth of population, it leads to an increased demand of food, products, clothes, houses, and many more. So, but the supply cannot be increased due to lack of cooperate factors like raw materials, skilled people, skilled labor, and capital, and maybe many more. So, thus, the consequence of population growth may lead to lower standard living. So, this may result to the effects of migration. So, that's all. Thank you.